Absolutely beautiful. Let's move on to questions that our Sports Mvt online community sent through to us. And I'll start off with this question coming from 𝗀𝗚𝗱𝗃, and she simply talks about South African women's football. What is your wish for women's football in South Africa?
Aaron, I think my friends, they even get annoyed with me whenever we speak about this, but there is so much that still needs to be done in order to affect it. It's on the rise. Yes, women's football is on the rise, but there is so much that can still be done to fast track it, to actually make it into a professional hub that it's meant to be. I mean, this is the same women's football, South African women's football, that has managed to develop exports. I think we've got about over 20 to 25 players that are now applying their trade internationally in Europe, and that must say a lot to us who are staying behind, all the coaches, all the clubs, that we've got a job that we are doing, and it's growing nicely, and we just need to continue on the same passion and continue on the same drive and keep on producing more exports, because South African players are highly talented. South African players they've got this thing. They've got this thing that European countries don't have, other African countries don't have. We've got the flair, we've got the drive, we've got the skills. So we just need to put on somewhere to fast track it. That's what I think of South African women's football.
Definitely. Let's look at this question from Rachel. Now, the 2022 International Women's Day theme is Break the Bias. What is this theme or these words? What do they mean to you?
It's a very broad statement, but just bringing it closer to myself, I would say we need to break the bias of myth and facts that are misconstrued. There is so much that is aligned with women generally. We're told women are emotional, women talk a lot, women are gossipers. That is a bias, and we need to break it, because I think we also need to derail the strain that is a generational curse, where we just carry on with the myth and we carry on with the bias, and we actually pushing it further and further, and it stops with us. That's how we break it. It stops with us. We have to represent better women. We have to represent better sports women. We have to be able to present ourselves in the way that the upcoming youth will be able to say, I actually want to be like Dunga. I actually want to be like Rachel, or so on and so forth. And we break the bias by actually doing better. We break the bias by actually presenting ourselves a lot better and making sure that we just like 𝗀𝗻𝗋 said, we take our place. We actually stake our claim, and we say, hey, we are here. Not only are we here, and we are active, we are loud, we are present. That's how we break the bias in all general spheres.
So well said. Let's move on to this one from 𝗀𝗹𝗹. 𝗀𝗹𝗹 says, what are the key lessons that you learned as an international player that you are now applying as a coach?
Key lessons: you are never too old to dream. International players go as far as 40 years old, and in our country, as soon as you hit 25 plus, everybody says you are old for everything. You are old to bear a child. You are old to be playing for the national team. You are never too old to dream. If you've got a dream, go after it. That is one of the key lessons that I got, that I saw, in other countries, in other players that I played against. You are never too old to speak up, and you're also never too young to be actually speaking your mind. So go for it. It's yours. Go for it. You know what makes your heart beat.
Beautiful. Let's tackle this one from Maseho. It's a tough one, and especially it relates to the retirement that we spoke about earlier. Now, she says, how many caps do you think you could have reached if you had not retired early from international football? Maybe you can mention how many caps you got and how many you think you would have gotten.
I retired with 30 caps to my name, international caps, senior caps. And I probably would have played as much as I could have, maybe I would be running after 200 caps right now, or towards 200 caps, because I believe that, you know, the one thing that was driving me was the discipline. So I would be training hard. I'll definitely be taking advantage of the modernized football that we are seeing internationally and trying to just bring myself closer to that. You know, you look at senior most kept players in our senior team right now. Case in point, 𝗀𝗋𝗋 she's heading towards 170 plus caps, and that could be, you know, some inspiration as well for someone like myself to be in the same sphere. So I probably would be in the same bracket if I hadn't stopped playing.
Definitely. Let's look at this last question that comes through from Ellen, and she talks about your philosophy. What is your philosophy as a coach?
Yeah, my philosophy as a coach is quite a simple one, if I may put it that way. I don't know, I'm being modest or I'm being pompous, but, you know, you always have to reinvent yourself. You always have to begin the day with yourself and end the day with yourself. And if you are staying in the same spot, you staying in the same place, I don't believe you are growing. You know, like I said, I was a player. Nobody thought I could be the kind of coach that I am today. And that means the reinvention took place. And I had to go back. I had to see, what do I need to uplift on? What do I need to upskill myself on? Where do I need to, you know, work on me in order to become a better coach today? And even now as a coach, I have not stopped. You know, I haven't just relied on I'm a coach. You know, I always go back. I always have to have a meeting with myself and say, okay, it's morning. What are the plans? And also at the end of the night, it's daytime. Did we achieve everything that we need to do? And what can we, you know, take it a notch up on? So I always believe in players that are reinventing themselves. You can be a master of something, but it doesn't end there. Find other things, become literally the jack of all trades, you know. And also, you know, I always just say to players, you know, everything that you are putting out there, it's never been done before. It's a new thing, and you have to believe that. So if you are doing the same thing over and over and over again, it's not going to end so well for you. You know, it can only run for so long. So hence I believe in the reinvention. You always have to do it. Always have to keep talking to yourself in the mornings. You know, look at yourself in the mirror, say, hey, this is my competition. And at night before you sleep again, say, hey, we meet again. You know, let's go rest. We'll try again. We'll try again tomorrow morning. So reinvent yourself.
Absolutely beautiful. Dunga, thank you so much for joining us on the Sports Mvt Insider. Thank you so much for being such a phenomenal role model to young ladies who are playing their football in South Africa, but also thank you for being such a brand ambassador, great brand ambassador for the sport of football in this country. Thank you so much. And of course, we are wishing you all the best as a coach, and hopefully you'll lift a lot of trophies in the future.
From your lips to God's ears, Aaron. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Thank you to everybody that's just been there for myself personally, and, you know, on my journey. It's been a long one, but we haven't started. You know, the journey only just begun. So thank you to everybody, and until we meet again one day, hopefully COVID, you know, we can be able to see each other now. But yeah, thank you for having me.
You're locked on to the Sport Mvt Insider, a podcast for unrelenting coverage of women in sport. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I absolutely loved diving deeper into the journeys of our athletes, coaches, and administrators to get to know them a little bit better than we do. Coming up next week, we bring you another athlete, coach, or administrator, and she shares her incredible and inspiring journey with us. Keep it locked onto Sport Mvt, where we celebrate women in sport.